Okay, it's 6 o'clock. Let's call this meeting to order. Ron, would you lead us in the pledge? Thank you.
Sounds like you remembered it, Ron. You done
Roll
good,
call,
Ron.
please.
President Griffin,
Here.
Director Boyd,
Here.
Director Cordell,
Here.
Director Rutora,
Here.
Vice President St. Amant.
Here.
Thank you. Item 4, posting of agenda declaration.
The agenda for tonight's regular board meeting was posted on Thursday, December 9th, 2021.
All right, thank you. Okay, item 6 is public questions and comments. This portion of the meeting is reserved.
Conflict
Oh,
of
I
interest.
did, sorry.
all right.
Item 5, conflict of interest declarations. Are there any to declare?
None for Torah.
Cordell, no.
None for Boyd.
None for St. Amand. With that being said, I must let you know that I am an employee of the federal government. And while that is true, the opinions that I might espouse tonight do not necessarily reflect those of my employer, nor do they necessarily reflect those of the rest of the board of directors. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have no conflicts tonight. Okay, this portion of the meeting is reserved for the persons desiring to address the board on any matter not on the agenda and over which the board has jurisdiction. However, no action may be taken by the board of directors on any item not appearing on the agenda. Non-agenda speakers are asked to limit their presentation to 5 minutes. Public questions and comments on items listed on the agenda will be accepted at any time the item is brought forth for consideration by the board. When you're recognized by the chairperson, please state your name and address for the record. Do we have any public comments on items not listed on the agenda?
Get it? Really, I don't have a lot to say. I really came
Who
here.
are you?
For once, yeah. I really came here tonight just to wish the Water District, the employees, the staff, and the board a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I think you guys are doing a stellar job. Keep it up. You got a lot of people out there that support you may not know about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments?
President Griffin, if there's no other public comment, I've been told by a legal counsel that I can make a comment here.
Okay.
You may have heard that today Governor Newsom announced a mandate that takes effect on Wednesday, requiring masks all for indoor for everybody, vaccinated or not. We've been experiencing within the district some cases recently. So I know this is short notice, but I've made a decision that I think we need to go back to closing the office to walk-ins effective on Wednesday. I know it's short notice, but we'll put it on Facebook and we'll post it. The mandate takes effect, as I said, on Wednesday, and it lasts 1 month through January 15th. And with the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, again, the rationale behind the governor's action is that they've seen a 47% increase in positive cases in the last 2 weeks. And again, as we had during the holidays last time, you got people coming in from out of town, visiting family. Although most of our customers have been pretty good coming in, wearing masks or putting a mask on when they come in, we still have a few that come in unmasked, and that could be a problem for customer service. So in the spirit of trying to keep our employees safe, I think we need to take that action and shut the office down to walk-ins. We won't go to I've got a memo prepared for the employees tomorrow. We will require masks indoors. If you're in your work area or your office by yourself, I think we're okay. But if someone comes into your office, if we have meetings or if they go into a common area, they'll be required to be wearing masks for next month. And then one other announcement, unless there's a question on that. Just a reminder that tomorrow is the special board meeting at City Council Chambers at 6 o'clock for informational purposes to discuss the comprehensive adjudication. It will be live streamed like a GA meeting, same thing, people will be able to call in. Again, that's at 6 o'clock tomorrow, and is there something else? Okay.
Other than all the information, if you wanted to call in view, or just call in and make a comment, it's all on the first page of the district's agenda, which can be found on the website.
Yeah, I will say it was advertised in the newspapers. Also, it was put on Facebook, and I just checked at 6 o'clock. You might have seen me run over there real quick. There were, as of 6 o'clock, 434 views of that announcement and 37 shares. So word is getting out.
Okay, any questions or comments for Don on that? From the board? None. Okay. All right, any other public comment? I don't see any phone calls. Is that correct?
You have 3 people on the line. I believe they're Parker, Groundwater.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so we received a comment letter from Mr. Mike Neal. It was included in his bill that he sent into customer accounts, and he requested that be read at the next board meeting. So, dear IWVWD, I am sending this portion of my bill separately as payment in high protest of the IWVGA fee in my bill of November 17. This fee of $38.80 represents a fee that is 186% of the actual cost of the usage charge of $20.76 for this month. The members of the district are tired of paying this fee. It needs to stop. Mike Neal.
Thank you. Thank you, Trey. Okay, seeing no more public comment, we will close that down and move on. If I can get this agenda straight. Okay, we'll move to item 7, which is the current business in the consent calendar. I would be looking for a motion.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any board comments?
None.
Okay, any public comments on item 7, the consent calendar? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. Okay, motion carries. Okay, item B, Plant and Equipment Committee.
Okay, the first item from Plant and Equipment Committee is award of contract for the Gateway and Salisbury Booster Station Replacement Project. In your packet, there is a memorandum from Krieger and Stewart regarding award of that recommendation for award of the contract. The district received 4 bids on November 17th for the project. The lowest bidder was Canyon Springs Enterprises, doing business as RSH Construction Services, for $2,424,000. There were a couple minor correctable irregularities in their bid, but those have been corrected. Everything else was complete and met the requirements of the contract. They are a experienced, capable contractor, and both Krieger and Stewart and staff are recommending awarding the contract to RSH Construction Services.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any board comments?
Was that the recommendation of the Plant and Equipment Committee?
Yes, it was.
Thank you.
Any other board comments? I just have one, Renee. When I was looking at it, their bid was lower than our estimate. Is that correct? The engineer's estimate?
Almost all of them were, yes.
Okay. So we're not in any fear that you think there could be a bunch of change orders or anything like that trying to
I
get?
don't think so, because 3 of the 4 bids came in pretty close together.
Okay.
I think 3.3 million was the budget line for this project. You have to remember, it doesn't include geotech and inspection and contract management. That's all on top of that too, so this is just for the construction.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any public comment? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. Oh, actually, I need a motion, I guess, first.
I'll move.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Call for the vote. Okay.
You got it, Stan.
Motion carries. Okay, we'll move to item 2, award of contract
Yes, this is for the construction of the 4 tanks, one at Gateway, C-Zone, D-Zone, and College. We did receive 4 bids on November 23rd, and we did have the same low bidder, Canyon Springs Enterprises, doing business as RSH Construction Services. Their total bid for the 4 bid schedules was $5,604,000. Again, there were a couple minor irregularities in their bid, and those were corrected. After discussion with the Plant and Equipment Committee and discussion of our budget at this time for our capital projects, we did recommend not awarding the D-Zone tank at this time, and that would save us $902,500 because we are kind of over budget for both of the combined projects. So we are recommending awarding bid schedules 1, 2, and 4, and that total amount is $4,701,500.
Okay, thank you. Any board comments?
Yeah, Canyon Springs Enterprises, may I presume that these 2 projects will be running concurrently?
Most likely, that is what we hope, yes.
And they're sufficiently large enough to be able to run them both at the same time?
They are a very large company, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we did bring that up at the plant and equipment meeting, Mallory and I. Concerned about the 2 fairly large jobs, getting them done at the same time. And we talked about, is there any ways that we can save a little bit of money on these jobs? And Renee proceeded to tell us that we're going to try to do some of the inspections in-house. I think that Krieger and Stewart was, $90,000?
90? No, it was combined $900,000.
Okay, that's even better. $900,000.
Over the 2 years of the projects, yeah.
And if we can do something internally, we definitely want to do that. So we also discussed that.
Perfect. That was my concern also, so thank you for asking that, was the size and if they could handle them both simultaneously. So.
Yeah.
There's still a question about materials, right? Everybody's facing the materials issue.
There will be for
Some
some
uncertainty
time,
there.
yes.
Yeah.
Right now, it's scheduled not to begin construction until May. So it'll take that long also to go through the submittals and all that process too.
That should be enough time for the ship to move into 10 miles from shore.
Right?
from that 60 miles
To get
shore
the
position.
steel off the ships, yeah.
Excellent, yes.
Yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully there aren't any further delays than that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any public comment on B number 2? Okay, no public comment then. I'll be looking for a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Call for the vote. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Item C, Admin Exec Committee, proposed temporary staff position.
I'll handle that one. There's a, excuse me, there's a staff report in your packet, which I'll kind of paraphrase, but essentially, as you know, fiber optic is being installed throughout the community, which involves several utility locates. In addition to that, there's a lot of construction going on, so we're getting a lot of requests to locate our facilities on a daily basis. And right now, the associate engineer, Justin, has been the one that's responding to those locates. So there are literally days where he's out in the field all day just doing nothing but marking our facilities, and that really is not a good use of his time. We have construction projects coming up, for example, the 2 that you just approved that will require some contract management inspections. So what we're proposing to do is to bring on a temporary district maintenance, repair, construction crew member for probably as much as 2 years to work with the maintenance crew and take one of the senior maintenance crew and just devote them to doing the locates. They know the system, and actually it's probably been beneficial to have Justin do this for a while because he was new, and to learn the system, it's good to be out there and actually marking utilities. So, but I think he's benefited enough from that, and he needs to be doing engineering work. So you see the cost in there, but I will mention that because we can do some of this in-house, the cost could be offset by doing it in-house versus having Krieger and Stewart have an inspector up here and paying per diem and lodging, all that stuff. So there is a cost benefit to doing this. So when we interviewed for the position that we recently filled, I think we had 5 candidates, and we had more than one that we felt were qualified, so there's not going to be a problem filling this position. So again, it makes sense to have our engineer doing engineering work rather than have him out there doing locates. And by making this temporary adjustment to staff, I think we can accomplish all of our goals by doing the locates, getting those done in a timely manner, and making sure that they're accurate because we have somebody who knows the system, and having Justin focus on helping with the capital projects. So we didn't have 2 committee members that admin exec, but the recommendation from Director St. Amand was that we approve this.
Okay, any board comments? Any public comments? Okay, I would look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to add a temporary position as far as locates are concerned.
Second.
Do we want to, probably not listed as far as locates, we just add an additional MRC? Is that-
This position will be working with the maintenance crew, and then one of the senior people from the maintenance crew would be doing the locates.
I need to say it again.
Yeah, just put that we're adding a,
Yeah, we're adding a position in the maintenance crew, and I okay it myself, so.
I'll still second it.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Call for the vote. Okay, motion carries. Okay, moving on to item D, election of officers. Board of Directors will nominate and vote for 2022 Board of Directors, President and Vice President. So I would be looking for a motion for President and Vice President. If anybody has any discussion, now's a good time to do it.
I'd like to nominate Chuck Griffin for president.
And Dave Sanwan for vice president?
I have a question on that. I appreciate the nomination, but I would also rather see David have a chance at being president if that's what he would like to do. So I would nominate David to be president, would be my motion.
You might want to do it one at a time.
Okay,
Stan would have to withdraw his motion, which hasn't been acted upon. And then if that was okay, then you would go ahead and make the motion.
okay. And I just want to make it clear, Stan, because you made the nomination, I just feel it's appropriate. If David would like to be president, I would like to have him serve his term.
Okay.
And then I would be glad to do anything else the board would like me to do, but I feel that would be fair. So.
I would only ask, are you confident that it's not going to interfere with your Navy other stuff that's going on, whatever that might be?
Any conflict or any document that would involve the U.S. Navy, the vice president would have to sign it, but otherwise it would not. There's no direct interface necessarily between the president and the Navy.
Okay, I'll withdraw my nomination.
Okay, with that being withdrawn, then I'd like to make a motion for David to be president. So I would look for a second for that.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for Director St. Amand for president. Call for the vote.
Public comment?
Oh, public comment. Do we have any public comment? Okay, call for the vote.
That much interest.
President Griffin,
Aye.
Director Boyd,
Yes.
Director Cordell,
Yes.
Director Rotora,
Aye.
Vice President St. Amand.
I think I'm going to abstain. I know.
Okay, now we'll move on to vice president. Any discussion or nominations?
I don't think that Stan or Mallory have held an office yet, right? So we can go either way. I don't know how each of you feel about being vice president, but
You'll still
you'll have
be
to work with
represented.
David. I mean, that's the only drawback.
That's the only downside.
Yeah.
Will you still be, you're still going to be our rep for the GA next year,
Yeah,
yes?
I feel fulfilled with that job alone,
Okay.
quite frankly.
Right.
Yes.
Appreciate the interest.
I'll nominate Mallory for vice president.
And I would second that nomination.
Okay.
Any public comment? Okay, call for the vote. Okay, motion carries. Okay, moving on to,
Mr. President,
Yes.
it's an honor, thank you, to be nominated and elected as president. I very much appreciate your kind words.
I think you will do a great job, so,
I appreciate it.
thank you.
I think we all agree.
Item E, committee assignments. So everybody will need to get those turned into President St. Amand, so any committees that you would like to work on, do we need to have those probably prior to the board meeting?
Yes, and you should send those in addition to President Centermont to Lauren and myself.
Okay,
And I'll just note, admin exec consists of the president and vice president, so that's already taken. And then we have water management already, unless the board decides to change it, but that was a 2-year term, which Director Ratora and Director St. Amand are the representatives.
correct. Okay, so what date do we need those by? Like the 5th of January?
January meeting is what, the
The
13th?
12th or 13th, I think.
13th, I believe.
So what are the nominations that are open?
Well, the
January meeting's the 10th.
10th,
And
okay.
the committee meetings will be the 4th and the 5th, so we should probably have it a week prior. So if you could get it to us by the 27th of December or even the 28th.
Oh, okay,
Which ones are open?
so that would be
It'd
admin.
be finance.
Finance committee.
Finance and plant and equipment are the two that are open, unless the board decides they want to make some changes, but admin exec is pretty set. Water management, it was a 2-year term, but you can decide to change that.
Okay,
So admin exec is basically Mallory and David.
Dave, correct.
Okay.
Correct. Okay, do we need any public comment on that? I don't think so, correct? We will move on to item F, Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority. Stan, I'd like you to give your report, and then we'll go to board comments.
Oh, I thought you'd never ask.
I know you.
Oh, I'll be. There have been 2 meetings since we last met, one on November 10th and one on December 8th. I'll go through the management activity, the financial activity, and then the project activities. Leading off the management is the GA decided to remove the water district from the chairmanship next year. The vote was 3-2, with us losing, obviously. If you look at the Sigma portal, there have been 6 approved GSPs, 34 not approved, and 8 waiting to hear back, and we're one of those 8 that have not heard back. But since the last 30 or so have been not approved, I think we know where we're probably heading, but it'll be interesting to see. And I have not seen anything official, but my understanding is that the GA has apparently decided to turn down the offer for DWR facilitation. In the financial area, the 2020 audit has not been completed. It has been started, that's the good news, but we're at the end of fiscal 2021 this month. So it should have been done some time ago. The GA has hired a bond counsel named by Wolf Hansen to research bonding for the replenishment fee. A status sheet was handed out at the December 8th meeting. And I think everybody, it was in the board packet. If you didn't get a copy of it, send me an email and I will send it to you. The next step, according to the speaker who presented the outline, was identifying a bond repayment security plan. So that's going to be interesting to see who steps up. The GA passed the 2022 budget at the November 10th meeting. Turns out the GA members had one business day to review the entire budget. The 2022 budget is sort of a good news, bad news story. Good news is that the format is now such that you can understand most of what's going on. It looks a lot better than what we've seen in the past. The bad news is less than half the money going to the imported water fund, and that's our $4 million essentially. Less than half of that will be spent on imported water. In fact, 1.1 million will be loaned to the extraction fee because the extraction fee was short over $1 million. Now, loaning the money between the funds is not a problem, except the fact that right now the GA has no way of paying that money back. So it's hard to convince me that it's really a loan when they can't be paid back. Last month, Stetson invoiced $77K expenses. $22K was for recycled water. Stetson is now working on sections 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the recycled water report. Now, I thought we were going to do that as a joint project between the Water District and the GA, but obviously they've jumped out with the first 4 sections. During the meeting, I did ask Steve Johnson to contact Don Zadiba to make sure that we were still communicating. I don't know if he did or not. Don might want to comment after I get done. The GA renewed the RGS management contract at this last meeting. No budget was given for the new contract. I voted against what I thought was a blank check. My feeling is they should have had a budget. That was not well received, by the way, but that's a separate story. The bottom line, at least my feeling, is the GA is spending more money than it has, and unfortunately, we know where they're expecting to get that money made up. In terms of project activities, the 2020 GA annual report is due to the DWR by April 31st. The schedule was discussed at the November 10th meeting. I objected to the timeline, and there was some slight modification to the schedule coming out of the December 8th meeting, giving more time for review and updating. However, there were no invoices for work on the annual report at our last meeting, so it's still not clear how much work is being done. But I am concerned about the amount of work that's actually going on. And I would like to suggest that we get Krieger and Stewart involved in the review of that report this year so that we actually know what's in it before it goes to DWR. And I think we probably, after I get through, discuss, see if we got a consensus to get them involved and assign them some work doing that. Transfer of the basin model to the GA custody is in process. It's not clear where that is, but it's still an ongoing project. And the Shallow Well Impact Draft Program Plan is going to go to the PAC for review. It's still being finalized. And the short-term water use policy has gone to the PAC for review, and my understanding is that it created quite a bit of discussion at the meeting. And also the preliminary schedule for the GA was discussed at the last PAC meeting and was also quite controversial. So the PAC is starting to actually do what we had originally hoped the PAC would be doing. So that part of it is all good news. And with that, I'll turn it back.
All right, thank you. Any board comments?
On the Krieger and Stewart help with the report review, do we have an estimate of what the time cost would be?
Yes. As a matter of fact, it was moved from January that his availability was moved from January 31st back to, I think, January 17th. Now, Tim Parker, who is on the TAC, I'm assuming is already going to be involved in that review, but there's not much time. So that's why I'm saying I would like to see Stewart and Krieger involved in that.
Yeah, I like the idea. I was just curious, do we have a ballpark cost? Or are they working an estimate for us?
No,
Okay.
not now. This is the first time that I brought this to the board. They've only got, it's got to get sent out on the 31st of April, so there's only a very short time to work on it. And it's going to go before the board for approval on March 8th, or I'm not sure if approval's the right word. But, so there's not much time. So it's not like they're going to spend a lot of money.
Listening to your report, Stan, which is usually very explicit on stuff, and the answers that you had to your questions on there basically tells me that they don't want to do anything that we're asking. There's no respect there, and that's really my only comment. No actions taken on anything that you suggest, basically. So that's it.
Director Sandeman?
I defer to you, sir.
Okay, well, I've got a few comments. I'm probably going to say more than I should, but I'm a little bit frustrated about what happened to the water district and our representative at the meeting. I feel it was a slap in the face to the district. I think the district customers have paid the replenishment fee. I think we have done our job to support the GA through paying the fee. We're continuing to pay the fee. We're not disputing that as far as paying it. I think an in-service was done to Stan. I think he could have led the GA. I had met with the city and the county reps. I feel that the actions that they took caused more issues than I think it will heal, and it really disturbs me what happened. I want to thank San Bernardino County for stepping up. He realized that it could cause an issue. I still want to work with the GA. I think wastewater, as Stan mentioned, that is our first priority. That is what is going to help this valley immediately, and we need to focus on that. But to just remove us from the chair position is a slap in the face. I want to move on to the budget that you talked about. I listened to the meeting through my earpods, and the comment that I heard directed toward an elected official by a staff member or an elected official, we don't really know. It was on a restricted line, and I feel that was gross. I'm not a prude. I've probably said the word, but I would never say it in a public meeting to a public official in front of children that are listening to a phone call or a meeting. I do not feel it's appropriate. If that was my employee, they would be terminated, just flat out. If it was one of our representatives that was on a live phone call with another agency and they spoke that way to an elected official, it would be reason to be removed. So I feel it's a little bit uncalled for, a lot uncalled for. And so, Stan, you handled it very well. I commend you on that. Because if it had been me, I'd have probably said something back immediately. So, but that being said, I think we need to, you had mentioned the DWR facilitation. I think we need to focus on that. I think we need to get involved and make sure that we are involving ourselves with DWR and letting them know where we stand and that we want to come up with a plan that's going to work for this valley to get this fixed. So that's my thoughts on it.
It sounds like the GA is trying to get out ahead of us on the recycled water. You mentioned that they've done 5 different deals on there. 4
I think
different.
they've done, yes, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'm not sure what our agreement was with them regarding the work share, or at least I thought we were going to have an agreed-upon plan before anybody charged out, and I'm not sure what the status of that is.
Yeah, I don't know if it's too late or not, but to me, it sounds like they are charging out. So, but that's my opinion.
I don't believe it's too late for the district to get involved, and really, I just think we need to get a hold of where we are on the alternatives analysis and to make it clear that the district wants to be more involved in the drafting of the various sections that Stan has talked about. But I do not believe it's too late yet. Thank you.
And I want to comment on that too, to Jim. I don't believe it's too late either.
I don't either.
I had a meeting this week with the city afterwards, and we can move forward and we can work together. And that's what, the point I want to make is that's what the water district wants to do. We are not the ones causing the controversy. We're not spreading any misinformation. What we have said and what we have put out has been 100% true. And so that's what I want to get out, that we are not the ones causing any issues. What we have said has been true from the beginning till now. So that's how I feel. And I also do want to thank Skip Gorman. He spoke, and he gave a chance for somebody to step forward and be a man and say that, hey, yeah, I messed up, but nobody had the guts to do that. And then Mr. Nugent also called him out. So I'd like to say I appreciate both of them doing that. And then Skip wrote a wonderful audio blog. If anybody hasn't listened to that, I'd urge everybody to listen to that. So, okay, any public comment on this?
One
Oh,
last
yep.
comment. If you review Mr. Lemieux's letter, a multi-page screed accusing the Water District of all sorts of malfeasance and misfeasance, and now you hear the language that someone on the Groundwater Authority is directing to the Water District. If you have any doubts as to which organization is better run, this should put that doubt to rest. That is abhorrent behavior in both instances and should not have been tolerated. Thank you, sorry.
Thank you very much. Any public comments?
Don Decker. I have perhaps somewhat of a clarification of the issue that you guys were just talking about, in particular, the wastewater report that is being put together right now. Steve Johnson has probably a couple of times that I can recall said that it was Stetson's intention to complete the report before it was brought to the GA board, and that means you guys too. That doesn't solve the questions or issues of the water district involvement in something where the water district has got a past substantial history of involvement and understanding. That's still there. The sections are being given to the TAC basically one at a time, and number 4 is due here in a few days to the TAC. That's the current schedule. So section 2 was due last Friday. There really just have been 2 of us responding, myself and Mr. Parker. His reports have been fairly short, but they're very directed at issues that he saw. The reports, the pieces, I should say, of the report have been well written, well organized and well written, but the actual content has had, I'll just say, questionable aspects that both Tim and myself have brought forth. So it would be, I can't imagine why the water district wouldn't have an opportunity beyond what exists right now, but you do have Mr. Parker looking out for your interests.
Thank you.
Yes, and as far as the profanity at the meeting, I think everybody that was there was basically appalled. It was probably an open mic foul-up, but regardless of what the origin was, it was completely inappropriate, no question. And it certainly reflects very poorly on whoever did it. I think we all have a really good idea.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. Any other public comment?
That's you. Tim.
Go ahead, Tim. Thank you, Mr. Parker.
Ron Kosinski. I was hoping to get out of here.
Well, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas again and Happy New Year, yeah.
Merry Christmas.
You know, it's become self-evident from the three things that have happened recently. One is the memorandum from the city about the water district. The second one is the removal of the water district as the chair. And third, obviously, is the comment made on open mic, no matter what it was. It tells you that the water district is going to have to pull every arrow out of their quiver. You're not going to get any vote to go your way, as you probably know, Stan. The city, you would think that the representation of the majority users of the water in terms of the homes is the water district ratepayers as well as the city citizens. You would think the city would get on board with you. But I don't know what's going on or what's happening. It's just obvious that the city and the Kern County are doing everything they can to stand in the way of the water district. That tells me that you guys are doing something right. And you need to continue it. But you're going to need to pull every arrow out of that quiver you can. Work with the DWR, request that they come and talk to them where they can help you. Concentrate on the misallocation of the funds that were set up by the 218 and the replenishment fees. We all know that's happening. It needs to happen. And I want to assure you that there are a number of people that support you. You may not hear from a lot of them, but there's things going on and people talking and people trying to say how they can help and what they can do. And hopefully in the next coming months, you're going to see something. And so keep up what you're doing. You're on the right track. Don't give up on the wastewater. I know they're trying to shove you out of that. The city might be, Chuck, I hope you're right. You're talking with the city and they still want to work with you on it. That is a real key point that you need to continue on. As far as everything else goes, gosh, guys, I don't know how you're going to change the course of the GA. I just don't. I hate to say it, but it's hard to believe they're going to get a bond issue for that money. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. And I've said this before, and I'll tell every single person as much as I can possibly tell them. The answer to this, even though I agree that we need to become sustainable and we're going to need some water to do it, I disagree with the method they're leaning towards, and that is AVEC. People can't seem to understand, and I don't know how many times I've said it to people, and Stan, maybe you have. You know, I can write you a check for $180, $200 million to put the project in free of charge for you guys, or the GA. Mm-hmm. But it's still gonna run around $11 million a year, plus the water costs and everything else you're gonna have to pay. So that involves basically take your water bill as it stands now and at least triple it. This community cannot sustain that. It'll kill this community. And so you keep doing what you're doing. You have a lot of support out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Any other public comment?
Judy Decker, Vice President of Eastern Kern County Resource Conservation District Board, PAC member. And I will say that I disagree with Ron Kaczynski's last statement. However, that's not what I came to say. As a member of the Policy Advisory Committee, we have been given several potential policies written by Stetson engineers to review. And actually, Stan mentioned two of them, the temporary water use policy and the shallow well mitigation plan. And what I wanted to point out to you is you need to get those and read them yourselves. Some of you, one of you anyway, is a well owner. The policies are written by people who live in the city. And while their intentions may be good, they're impractical. The first version of the shallow well mitigation plan had the well owner whose well has gone down for whatever reason, waiting almost a year for a potential review by the GA board. Now, some people live in situations where they have neighbors close by. They each have their own well, but they're not that far apart. And so perhaps they can get water from them one way or another. But some people live on 20, 40 acres, and the whole area is 20, 40 acres. Totally impractical. So you are a down-to-earth board. You discuss things amongst yourself, and you don't know how enlightening that is to the public. So when these draft policies come out, I think you should review them too, especially for practicality. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Decker. Any other public comment?
Joshua Nugent, Mojave Pistachios. I just drove over tonight to say that I support Stan and the Water District in general. The comment was unfortunate, but the tone of the comment, the timing, and kind of the intent of it is indicative of someone who, especially if you're not watching online, if you're going to the meetings in person, you kind of see a lot of eye rolls and, oh, here he goes again, when Stan's asking financial questions. But it's those series of financial questions that he's asked over 2 years that have got us to where we are with the new financial system and all this other stuff moving along. So that's all I'll say about that. It was more than just a comment. It was a general sign to me of a little bit of a lack of not enough respect given to Stan's opinion, which goes to my second point, which is it's not just that it's Stan or the Water District, it's that it's the public agency that's collecting 100% of the funds out of all the board members that are paying. So those are just kind of my general comments that you guys should be part of the regular rotation because you're the ones kind of collecting a lot of the funds. But be that as it may, the most important thing I think now is this facilitation process. And so I know if the GA is saying that they are not going to potentially, I hope that they don't do that. I hope whether they're either in the room, at the head of the table, at the table, whatever table analogy I'm using here, we all need to be there because the solution does need to include everybody. So whatever it takes to get us to actually getting that process started, I hope you guys can help with that. And again, it's not that we think that agriculture or any particular entity is going to be treated differently. It's that everyone's going to be treated more fairly in a process where we think you guys have a little more say. And that's looking at your board packet tonight. You look at the Tim Parker groundwater thing on the El Paso region. Very informative, very clear, easy to read, timeline. I mean, you can kind of see where that's going and see the benefit of it. And it's a solution that's practical and reasonable. And you guys look at your more than one-page financial report, and that's appreciated. You guys have a financial committee. There's a lot going there that we appreciate, and we think that if the GA acted a little more like you guys, there'd probably be less problems in the valley. So anyway, just a general note of support, and we hope you guys, keep doing good, and we hope that you can somehow convince the GA to be a part of the facilitation process. Again, I think it's telling when you look at all these ones that are left, there's 6 at the top that are said approved. There's 30-something that are incomplete, and then there's 4 in Madera. There's some other one in us. And so we're the only ones left. So my guess is they're not saving the best for last. So anyway, we support you guys. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Looks like we have a phone. Caller, go ahead. State your name.
Yeah, this is Ray. One person's opinion about someone on the board or on the GA was so rudely expressed. The city uses the same system for their live broadcast that the water district does. The operator knew exactly whose microphones were open and who that was. And I would encourage the water district to ask the GA to have that person removed as a representative of their agency and replaced with someone that is more interested in cooperating and working together with the rest of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hucker. Any other public comment? I'm going to come back to the board. I just want to make sure there's no more comments for the public. Okay, we're going to go ahead and close the public comment, and we'll come back to the board for any other comments.
Yes, I was curious whether or not Steve Johnson actually got back with Don relative to the overall plan and getting an agreement on a plan before we start.
I haven't spoke with him directly. I don't know if, I think Chuck Krieger is on the line. Maybe he's had a conversation with Steve. You're referring to the sections for the alternative?
Right. Well, there was, the issues that I brought up was a schedule, a budget, just an overall plan and a work distribution, which I thought was what I was told at one of our last meetings was what we were going to try to firm up before we started going into the actual work.
This is for the alternatives analysis for the recycled water, correct?
Well, the whole report
Yeah.
is part, yeah.
Again, I haven't had any conversation with Steve on that particular topic, and maybe Chuck could offer some insight.
Communication with Steve regarding matters that Director Rotora has alluded to.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to firm up, are we a go on getting Krieger and Stewart involved in the evaluation of the annual report, the 2020 annual report? Is there anybody that objects to doing that?
I think it's a good idea.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Go ahead.
President Griffin, just to clarify something so there's not the wrong impression, there are to be further discussions between myself and Keith Lemieux with respect to recycled water along the lines that you're talking about, Stan. I had a brief conversation with him after the GA board meeting, but the timing as it was, I was all tied up on Thursday, him on Friday. So with the board meeting today, I haven't had the opportunity to touch base with him, but I do intend to talk to him here very shortly, and we'll discuss. I don't think they're just going rogue trying to run away from the district. I don't think that's the right perception, but they are starting a number of the sections. So that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Director Boyd?
Yeah, on the GA meeting, you were raising a point with Carol about an open-ended statement that I assume led to your vote against approving that report. Is that true?
Your mic's not on, Stan.
It was a contract renewal. The scope of the work that RGS is going to be doing is increasing, and obviously that will require more funding. I mean, that was never a question. However, last year they actually had a budget of $200,000, which I thought, quite frankly, was low at the time. But then obviously I wasn't satisfied with the product we got either. I think if they would have spent more money if we'd gotten better financial reports. They go hand in hand, and I wasn't against increasing the amount of money that they spent because they are going to go to a new accounting system and do more accounting and provide more information and more management. So that's all a plus. But my feeling is that we need to have an actual contract that says how much money they are allowed to spend. Otherwise, you don't know when they overspend their budget. And of course, that's what we've been doing now for 3 or 4 years on the GA, as we just keep spending money and spending money and spending money without a schedule or tracking of the funding so that we know where we are financially. And of course, we fail to go back and do audits in a timely manner so that we don't know how much money we spent either. So
specifically, though, there was a comment that you were making about an open-ended statement that had, was that the reason or the principal reason why you didn't vote for
the comment that I made was just prior to what was said over the open mic was I felt that having an open-ended contract with no actual budget was fiscally irresponsible.
Right, I agree.
And that is what brought the outburst.
And that was the basis of your vote, though, I guess.
It was,
okay,
absolutely.
Thank you.
With regard to the request for Krieger and Stewart to look at the annual report, I got the sense the board wants them to do that, but you had expressed earlier a desire to find out what the cost would be. So I think that based on this discussion right here, we're authorizing them to do something that we don't know what the cost is, so.
Well, I would assume that we're going to be asking them for a budget.
That's what I was hoping.
Yeah, we would want a cost to do that first.
Sorry, Chuck, we need a cost.
Do you have any other comments? No. Okay. I just have a few closing comments on this. I've heard a lot of comments made that the Water District is doing nothing or has done nothing. And I want the public to know the Water District has done a lot in the past years, not just recent years. The Water District has bought farmland. The Water District has bought property or traded property with wells to use for emergencies or whatever the case may be, but to prevent farming. The Water District has property in Inyo County that they've purchased for future water supplies. Our hands are tied on that water due to Inyo County. And not being able to access the aqueduct. So the Water District has taken steps and it continues to take steps to ensure that we will get some type of imported water. And that's what we have 4 tiers for. Our 4th tier is for imported water. It's not classified as imported. What is the tier for? It's alternate water source. So that's why we have that charge there, is because the district is continually trying to find a way to do that. So we are working at that. So that's what I want to say.
Okay, I got something to say
Okay.
too. I think that all of Stan's reports have been very informing for me. He's taught me a lot of what was going on and stuff, and I really appreciate that. And also, I really appreciate Ray, Skip, and Josh for sticking up for the Water District and the board. I agree with all 3 of them. Should have never been done. And something should have been said at the meeting as far as any ramifications or some discussed, if nothing else, from Scott Heyman. And there was nothing said, and that's really what I'm upset about. Nobody should have to take that. You know, if we were in a massive fight with each other, you know, I might say something too, but we're at a meeting for the community, and it did not work out that way. So that's it.
All right, thank you. Okay, so there's no actions that we need to take, correct? Okay, we will move on then to general manager and staff update.
Okay, safety is our first item we report on, and as of today, the employees of the Water District have worked 226 days without a recordable injury. As far as water production, the meter production at the wells for the month of November, 151,454,500 gallons. That's 464.8 acre feet. And as I mentioned, every month, we report a different number to the State Water Board. That is the water that goes through the distribution system or the consumption, along with non-revenue water, which would be water lost to leaks or flushing activities, blow-offs, anything like that. That number is 135,017,500 gallons, 414.4 acre feet. We did report the conservation results for the month to the State Water Resources Board on December 3rd. Consumption was down 27.5% compared to November of 2013, the baseline year that the state uses prior to the drought. 20% conservation target that this board established back in June of 2016. The cumulative result to date has been 22.9%, so we still are exceeding that target. Comparing results to the past 4 years in terms of conservation, it was much higher than the last 4 years. 2020, we had a 16.5% decrease compared to 2013. 2019, 12.5%. 2018, 10.5%, and 2017, 15.4%. We also report, as part of our data to the state board, the residential gallons per capita per day, and that number for the month of November was 110. And again, that includes both indoor use and outdoor use. There were only 2 new connections during the month of November. So to date, from the first of our fiscal year, which is July 1st, we've had 23 new connections, and those new connections have contributed $141,902 in capital facility fees. Any questions on that portion? Okay, public outreach. The community collaborative meeting, which I usually attend at City Hall, was scheduled for December 7th, but it was canceled. So our outreach efforts this month have been focused primarily on meeting the legal requirements for announcing the comprehensive adjudication, as well as the informational public workshop scheduled for tomorrow at City Hall at 6 o'clock, as I mentioned previously. Next item on the agenda is scheduling for our annual board workshop. It takes place in January. I don't know if you have your calendars available. Oh, there's one on your screen.
We do now. As long as it's after the 15th,
After the 15th?
when the mandate's over.
Okay. So,
Yeah, I wear a mask.
oh, the week of the 17th or the week of the 24th, I'm sorry.
The 26th is out for me. It's our anniversary. 48 wonderful years. So anytime other than that.
Any recommendations?
17th's a holiday. Is the 18th good with everybody?
It seems good for me.
I think it would be good.
It's
That work for me.
the day after the holiday.
Is that good or bad?
It might not be very good.
How about the Wednesday?
Well, when we have holidays, normally the board meeting drops in after
Getting
that.
looks from staff, what is that?
No?
Good with the 19th?
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 19th, Wednesday the 19th. And if there's a conflict, let us know.
Are we doing that at
We'll
9
put it
o'clock?
down.
9 a.m. in the morning?
9 o'clock, yes, Wednesday, January 18th at 9 o'clock.
19th.
19th, I'm sorry. Wednesday the 19th.
And topics for the meeting to be due by?
12th. Okay, topics for the meeting by the 12th. Send them to President St. Armand, Lauren, and myself, please. Okay. Next item, from the special board workshop. The board workshop in August, we had an assignment from board to develop a exploration program, if you will, for the El Paso sub-area. last month's meeting, both our consultants, Tim Parker and Dave Scriven, gave a presentation, presented to the board. There was a little bit of a discussion, but nothing beyond that. Board elected to bring it back for this month's for discussion and possible direction to staff. I had Lauren put the presentation in the board packet, so you'd have it over the weekend to mull over it again and refresh your memory. So what we're looking for tonight is perhaps further discussion and any direction that you wish to direct to staff to move forward with any of the portions of the presentation.
Do we have any comments from any of the board members on where we'd like to go?
Personally, I'd like to spend a little bit more time on the material and perhaps make that one of the topics we bring forward to the workshop in January.
Okay. I would agree with that.
That's reasonable.
Everybody good with that then? We'll just add that to the agenda for the board workshop.
Sounds good.
That was easy.
Well, meeting's not over yet.
Unless there are questions, that's the end of my section.
Okay. All right. Any public comments on Dawn's report? We will move now to.
Quick
Okay, go
comment
ahead.
on Don's report. I wanted to reiterate something or emphasize something that Don said. Our ratepayers have saved way beyond our 20% target. And they've done so all while the town continues to grow. I think that's astonishing. And they've done a wonderful job, and your facilitating that has been excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Move to item 5, well 33 update.
All right. Well, I was out on site last Thursday with the pump contractor and Best with 2 S's. We were supposed to do the sand invasion survey. And pretty much anything that could have gone wrong that day did go wrong, including the weather. Computer problems, camera problems, and then the engine on the temporary motor, the drive, everything went smoked and blew, and so we gave up. And they had their mechanic up fixing that Friday, so we're regrouping this Wednesday to give it all a try again. So that's where we're at. We didn't accomplish what we needed to last Thursday, unfortunately. So we will try again this Wednesday. That's all on 33, unless you have any questions. It was a lovely day. I don't have anything new on the Cal OES reimbursement. I did contact our rep there who had helped me through all of this, and he did give me some emails and phone numbers to contact, so probably this week I'll see if I can get a status on that. It's been a few months, so.
All right. Thank you, Renee. Any public comments on Renee's portion? On either of the well? Okay, item 7, financial status.
All right, through November of 2021, we had revenues of $7.3 million, which is $391,000 better than budget. Expenditures came in at $7.4 million, which was $109,000 over budget. So our net is a negative $75,390, but that is $281,000 better than we had anticipated for the budget. So we're ahead on that. Capital expenditures to date, $307,000. Of that, $105,000 is from our COP funds. And we have debt service principal of $463,000. Next is the solar. I'll go ahead and go into that. For the fiscal year, so through November, we have a savings, let's see, actual November. So for the month of November, we had a savings of $33,815, which comes in below the guarantee of $35,848. But total savings for the year is $204,579.
And that's the net savings, 204?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
For conservation, this is for calendar year 2021 through November. We had 128 water waste reports received and 128 contacts made. Formal warnings issued of 11 and 3 penalties issued.
Any public comments? Okay, we'll move forward to Jason.
We had hoped to have the SCADA system ready for presentation this evening. We do not. We are still working, ATSI sent the district their finalized versions of the site acceptance tests. Staff is diligently working through those. They're very detailed. The high-speed counters for all the well sites are done, which will provide totalizer data, will be good for our annual reports we'll be able to get max day data, be able to get more accurate flow readings from the wells. Currently, ATSI is still working on the backups and reporting details that we'll be able to use in our modeling. Some communication errors and scheduling training. So that's where we're at right now. We do have the hope that we will be able to present this for final approval in January.
Arsenic.
The plants are offline for the season. There was no production in November. I have reached out to Pure Flow to ask for the finalized number with them adding the media back into the filter vessels after the installation of the new under drains. I have not heard back yet.
In operations.
For the month of November, we had 6 repairs and 22 replacements on laterals. Due to staffing issues, NODES did not run, but we still have saved 8,330,315 gallons overall. And we were able to turn 32 valves, bringing our total for the year to 660.
Thank you, Jason. Any public comments? Okay. All right, we move forward to item 8, board comments and future agenda items. Director Rator, we'll start with you.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. That's all.
That's it? Well, I'll follow up with that also. I think that we had a better meeting than what I was expecting tonight. But Merry Christmas.
Director Boyd.
So you might recall last week I was at the JPIA Aqua Conference. Thank you. That was informative. I'm drafting a report that I'll give the board before our next meeting of the notable points in there, but just a couple that wanted to bring our attention to. Insurance is a big deal. Liability insurance in particular is on the rise. They're promising, not threatening, but they're promising likely increases of 15 to 20% in our liability premiums over each of the next 3 years. I don't know what our liability insurance premium is for the district, but those increases are huge. This is largely fallout from the disasters that have been going along the coast, the fires and the hurricane season and all. So it's a nationwide issue. It's going to hit it's going to be an issue for the finance group, I think, to have to work next year. In addition to that, there was a lot of discussion about the cyber threat. And currently, and I guess you'll be seeing probably the paperwork if you haven't already, Jason, there's a questionnaire that'll be coming out. I don't know have we received that yet or?
We haven't received it yet, no.
Okay. Apparently it's very detailed, and they're asking for a lot of insights about the capability of our systems, and it was pointed out that there could be some sensitivity issues there as we get too much shared on paper, so I'm not too sure how we'll handle that, but the better we respond to that, the better our rates will stand.
We will share the information without getting into details.
Yeah. Okay. But it's coming. Just wanted to give you a heads up. They were indicating they thought that might be out by now, but I guess maybe the holidays are getting in the way. So, but more on the conference later.
Okay, thank you. Director St. Amand?
Well, just happy Hanukkah for those who were enjoying that celebration, and Merry Christmas to the rest, and happy and prosperous New Year.
I have a few things. I want to say thank you to the board for allowing me to be the president last year. I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes, but it was a learning experience, so thank you. To the public, if there's anything you got out of this meeting tonight, you heard it mentioned 3 times now, this is going to be the 4th. There's a very important meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. If you're a well owner, if you have a friend that's a well owner, tell them to be there. It's at 6 o'clock tomorrow night at the city. So please come to that meeting tomorrow night. And then lastly, staff, I just want to say, I appreciate everything you guys have done this year. Many don't notice it wouldn't get ran if it wasn't for you guys. Through everything that's happened through the COVID. So hope you guys all have a Merry Christmas, and please pass that on to everybody. So, and that's all I have to say. And then we will adjourn this meeting at 7:15 and go to closed session at 7:30. Does that give you guys enough time? Want to do 7:25? Okay.
7:30 is fine.
Okay, back into open session 8:56. Mr. Worth?
Yes, the board authorized staff to file an application with the Department of Water Resources, which will allow us to begin discussions on the services DWR might be able to offer with respect to a facilitation regarding the water-related matters here in the basin. No other action was taken that requires disclosure under the Brown Act.
Thank you. Thank you guys all for a great meeting, and have a wonderful night, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
And drive safe, Jim.
I'm staying. You're staying tonight? I don't blame you.